All right, let's talk K28. Feeling a little overwhelmed by it all? You're not alone. If you're an associate project manager apprentice, this explainer is absolutely for you. We're going to break down K28, show you why it's so important for your career, and give you the tools you need to completely nail your final assessment. Does this sound familiar? You're juggling your job, your apprenticeship, and now you've got to figure out how to get evidence for K28 for your endpoint assessment. It can honestly feel like a huge mountain to climb. That's why I want you to meet Jody. She's in the exact same spot, an apprentice at a company called IBS Stores, and her story is going to be our guide. So, are you ready to follow Jody's journey from feeling totally confused about K28 to being completely confident? Here's our plan. We'll start by really getting to grips with the challenge she's facing. Then, we're going to decode all the key concepts. After that, we'll see K28 in a real-life project, figure out what her role as an APM actually is, and finally, we'll master how to get that killer evidence for the endpoint assessment.
Okay, so for Jody, the clock is ticking. Her big assessment is coming up, and she has to prove she understands K28. And look, this isn't just about ticking some box on a form. It's about showing that she has what it takes to be a modern, successful project manager at IBS Stores. The pressure is definitely on.
Now, don't let this formal definition throw you off. Let's break it down. Think of K28 as having two parts. First, you've got your regular project goals, what you're trying to do right now. But then you've got the UK's net zero target, this massive national goal for a greener future. K28 is all about making those two things work together, even when it gets tricky. Jody knows she can't figure this out all by herself. So she does the smart thing. She goes to her mentor, Adam. Adam's been around the block, and he knows the secret to understanding K28 isn't just memorizing definitions. It's about building a really solid foundation, one idea at a time. Let's listen in.
Adam starts with the absolute basics, project objectives. He tells Jody to think of them like the sat-nav for her project. They tell her where she's going, and that's the scope. They tell her how long it'll take, that's time. How much it'll cost is, cost. The quality of the final product is quality, and why it's even worth doing is the benefits. Without these, you're pretty much just driving around in circles.
Next up, Adam gets to the big one, sustainability. He explains that it's not just about, being green. It's about being a responsible project manager. It means asking those tough questions like, is this new packaging we're creating just going to end up in the ocean for centuries, or can we, find a better way? Sustainability is all about making choices today that we won't regret tomorrow. And finally, Adam explains the why behind all of this, net zero. Look, this isn't just some boring government policy. It's a huge national promise to create a better future. And as a project manager, Jody and you have a real part to play in making that happen, one project at a time. Now, this is where it gets really interesting. Adam shows Jody that there's often a tug of war going on. In one corner, you've got the traditional stuff, get it done on time, on budget, within scope. But in the other corner, you have these new sustainability goals. And as Jody's about to find out, these two are often pulling in completely opposite directions. The real question is, who wins? So, with everything Adam said fresh in her mind, Jody gets invited to a project meeting with her manager, Rital. And suddenly, it's time to put all this theory into practice. The meeting's about new packaging for an IBS Stores product. All of a sudden, K28 isn't just some abstract idea anymore. It's about to get very real.
You can just feel the tension in that meeting room, can't you? Rital's team is stuck in a classic K28 pickle. Do they go with the cheap plastic that's bad for the environment? Or do they pick the amazing eco-friendly option that might blow the project's budget? This is where it all comes together, and Jody's right in the thick of it. As Jody sits there listening to the back and forth, something just clicks. A real light bulb moment. She realizes she doesn't have to be the world's leading sustainability expert. She doesn't need all the answers. Her job as an associate project manager is to be the person who helps the conversation happen, to be the bridge. And that simple shift in thinking changes everything for her.
So here's the key takeaway. Your job isn't to sit quietly and take notes. You're a catalyst. As an APM, you have the power to spot risks, to raise your hand and say, hang on, have we thought about this? And to make sure everyone is making decisions based on facts. It's a big responsibility, for sure, but it's also a massive opportunity to make a real impact. So Jody's feeling way more confident now. She can see how all the K28 pieces fit together, but there's still that one final challenge, the endpoint assessment. To get her ready, she meets with her coach, Olivia. It's time to turn all this great experience into solid, tangible evidence. Olivia gives Jody a simple 5-step roadmap to success. It's a clear path that will take her exactly where she needs to go. See how each step builds on the last one? It creates this really strong foundation of knowledge. This is a journey that every single apprentice can follow, starting with that very first step.
Olivia makes a great point. The assessors, they're not looking for you to be perfect. They just want to see that you've learned and grown. So whether it's a reflection you write for your portfolio, maybe in a tool like AppDem, or just some notes from a meeting, every little piece of evidence helps tell your story. And that is a story worth telling.
Okay, now Olivia decides it's time for a pop quiz. She throws a question at Jody that could come straight out of the real EPA. It's a great chance for Jody to practice what she's learned and see how she does under a little bit of pressure. Let's see what advice she gets on how to answer it.
Olivia tells Jody the best way to answer is to use the STAR method. First, this situation. Set the scene, like that packaging decision. Then, the task. What was your specific job? Next, the actions. What did you actually do to help the team? And finally, the result. What happened, and what did you learn? It's a really simple but super powerful way to structure your answer.
And just like that, everything falls into place. That huge, scary mountain that Jody saw at the beginning of our story, she's climbed it. She gets it now. K28 isn't just some box she has to tick for her apprenticeship. It's a responsibility. It's about being a future leader, a change maker. And it all started with that one simple, overwhelming question.
Jody's story is pretty inspiring, right? It just goes to show that with the right attitude and the right support, you can tackle any challenge. So as you head back to your own projects, we want you to think about this question. What's your K28 story going to be? Thanks so much for joining us.